Hey there, me again. Just thought I'd give you an update of how things are going on my pilgrimage. It's actually day 63 of my pilgrimage around the 88 temples of Shikoku. As you know, I finished the 88 and the Bangai, and then I decided to go around again. I started walking, and I am currently on the 7th day of an 11-day bus trip around Shikoku, so I thought I'd give you some impressions about the difference between walking and a bus. These are preliminary impressions. I plan to go around the pilgrimage again after the bus tour, partly by walking and partly by driving. So I thought I might give one more update of different means of the pilgrimage and pros and cons, or just the differences in them. When I finished walking the pilgrimage, it was kind of weird in that I felt almost like a Rip Van Winkle entering a new world. As soon as I came out, I went from temple 88 to temple 10, and then walked from 10 to 1 in reverse order, and came across maybe 30 pilgrims. 20 of them were Westerners. I'm assuming the other 10 were Japanese, but they might have been Asian, Chinese, Korean, or someone else walking. They might not have necessarily been Japanese. The Westerners are easier to pick out, mostly white foreigners, most from Europe, some from Australia, some from Canada. I've only met one or two from America. Coming out, walking in reverse order, I met a whole bunch of pilgrims, and then since then, in walking the pilgrimage, those few days before getting on the bus, I met tons of other pilgrims, lots and lots of walkers. So when I was going around, I didn't come across many walkers, a few here and there. I came out and it was walking season. Now riding on the bus, I can look out the window and there'll be sections where there's a walker every 100 meters, maybe 200 meters. Quite a few people walking. April is definitely the season for people walking the pilgrimage. Also a lot more bus tours. So again, I came out, and on my first pilgrimage, I came across a few buses, but not really that many. This time around, I came across quite a few. I'd be at the Nokia show and there'd be the bus personnel there getting 40, 50, 60, 80 books signed. Usually they let you go ahead of them, but one guy actually didn't, and I was in no rush and didn't mind waiting. I'm going around the second time walking. I'm walking most of it, but there are a few sections where I might take a train. I did for one temple already, and see how I'm feeling. I'm not going to be as stringent with myself about must walk for each section. Not going to get to the end in time. Maybe if there's a train, hop the train if it's running. So the bus tour has been great so far. We have a great Sendatsu who's been around the pilgrimage many, many times, who's pointing out so many things about the temples, and I'm learning a great deal. And she's only pointing out a few things, and I'm sure there's many, many more things she could point out. The temple bus schedule is kind of busy. We tend to see usually maybe 10 temples a day, 8 to 10 temples a day. There are a few sections in Kochi where we saw a few less. I had previously done a segmented bus tour from Osaka, in which it was broken up over a year, over 8 to 10 segments, and I did a couple. Those were actually fairly tiring because you took the bus from Osaka, and it's about I can't remember exactly how long, maybe 3 hours, to Shikoku, view a couple temples, and then the 3-hour bus ride back. So it's kind of exhausting. In this pilgrimage, we're seeing a lot of temples every day, and there's actually a great deal of walking. Up till now, I'm averaging about over 10,000 steps a day, which works out to over 10 kilometers. So it's not just all sitting on your butt. The bus pulls up, and for some temples, you just walk out the bus and you're there. But for other ones, the bus can't get there, and you have to walk maybe 500, 600, 700 yards or meters, and then walk back. So there is a good deal of walking, lots of stairs. The Sendatsu only speaks Japanese, and if you know Japanese, you can learn quite a bit about the temple. I was expecting to be the youngest person on my pilgrimage. I'm actually on a bus trip with about 18 people, so kind of a mid-sized bus trip. There are ones that are more microbus, and then there are ones with maybe 30 or 40. We're on kind of a fairly decent-sized bus that can hold maybe 30 people. There are about 18 of us on, and I'm in a section with lots and lots of legroom, which is quite nice. Though there's a low chandelier that I keep bumping my head on that I have to remember to not bang my head on. In this bus trip, I thought I was going to be the youngest person on it, but I was wrong. There is a young 21-year-old man, and then there's actually another American girl from Hawaii, who I think is around 30. So it's been fun talking to her about the pilgrimage. She's actually a writer, scholar, and doing some research on it for the next few months. So it's been nice talking to her and sharing information that we have about the pilgrimage. And I'm looking forward to reading her work when it comes out in the future. There's also a few, I'm not sure of everyone's age, but I'm guessing there are a few people maybe in their 50s, quite a few people in their 60s and 70s and 80s as well. A good group of people, all with interesting backgrounds. Most people fairly private, but in the conversations I've had so far, it's been very illuminating. In going around the first time, I was flying solo, and I did miss some things at some temples in some of the videos I have posted. Even with the Sendatsu pointing out things, there's still so much to learn and see on the pilgrimage. Because the Sendatsu is the leader, someone who's gone around. Technically, you can go around 4 times and become a Sendatsu. I think my leader has gone around over 100 times. I'm not exactly sure how many times, but she leads this tour 6 times a year. Very, very knowledgeable. Any question you can ask, she has an answer to. And because she knows I'm a historian, she's pointed out things to me that she might not point out on a typical tour. For example, at Temple 22, Byodoji, there was a thing that looked like a kago inside the temple. Well, it turns out that it was actually it is a carriage, but it's meant for sick people. And sick people, if they fell down on the road, might be carried to the temple, or if they came to the temple sick, would be sort of put in these basically boxes. They would be fed, but kind of quarantined in a box until they got better, or perhaps even until they died. So there's this box in the temple. Not sure it gets pointed out to everybody, but because of my interest in history, it got pointed out to me. And that's the type of thing I mean when I say there's so many little aspects of the pilgrimage, and each time you go around, perhaps you pick up something new about each temple. If you want to see the temple all in one go, the bus trip is pretty nice. We're staying in nice hotels with fancy baths and really quite good food. And it might seem counterintuitive, but actually the all-in-one bus tour is one of the cheapest ways to go around because it takes less time. It's only 10 days. Per day cost is a little bit more, but in walking, I spent 50 days walking around the island, and that was kind of expensive because I needed an inn each night. If you're camping out, it might be a little bit less, but there's still the cost of food, unless you're eating a cup of ramen every meal, which don't think is that healthy. So the bus trip is kind of cheaper. I'm going to drive part to see what it's like. I actually like not having to drive and just having someone take me there. These roads are windy and tiny, and if you've never been in Japan, you will be impressed by their bus drivers. This guy can pull a 3-point turn anywhere and back up the bus perfectly into the tight little space between buses in a parking lot. In short, on a bus tour, if you know Japanese, you can get a great bit more insight into the temples. Even if you don't know Japanese, a bus tour is a great way to go around the island. You see other things from the bus that you don't see from walking. Actually, kind of an interesting thing about the bus tour, one more interesting thing about the bus tour that I remember it is, as we've been going around and the places in which the Ohenro path overlap with the bus route, I can remember certain things of like, oh, I had lunch there. Oh, I had a snack there. Oh, I was about to fall over from exhaustion here. I'm starting to remember some of the walking pilgrimage through riding on the bus. You'll also get a different perspective in the bus in that you're a little bit higher up and can get a broader view over the horizon. In the bus tour, we spend a good deal of time at the temple, and the recitation of the sutras in a group is fun. I like actually recitation in a group a little bit better than reciting by myself, especially when we're all completely in sync and kind of harmonize. So that's an interim update for those of you watching and maybe thinking of doing the pilgrimage. There's some differences between the bus tour and walking, and I hope to provide one more update a little bit later on. Thanks for watching.